Buyer beware, the market is going to crash. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to start off with the SPY. We're going to look at some various charts, and then we're going to take a look at PLTR, CATB, and DVAX. This is Patrick and you're trading with Prime. Welcome. For those of you who are new, feel free to hit the like button if you gain value out of this video. Feel free to subscribe. And if you want to join the Discord, we do have a free side. We have a premium side with alerts. So go ahead and go underneath the video down in the comment section or description of the video, and you will see a link to the Discord. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the market crashing because wait for it. This is all the craze lately. Where are we in the market? Where are we? So I say that with a kind of a little bit of a laughter because the market so far is building up energy. It's building up steam to make another move higher. It's not crashing. Does this look like a crashing market? I don't know. Now, I will delete this video if we crash over the weekend. I say that, but there is a little bit of seriousness in that. As far as where we are on the chart, do we believe that $394.17 is a high in the SPY? Do we believe that is in sync with reality? And the answer is no. I personally don't believe that market should be trading at these prices, but it doesn't matter what I think. The market is bullish. Until it proves us otherwise, it'll remain bullish. And so we have a clear and obvious uptrend. Do I think it's probable at any point in time in the near future, within the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Do I think that we are probably going to see a little bit of downside? I think at this point it would be healthy if we saw a little bit of downside. If we saw a 10% correction in the market, that would be a healthy thing, not a bearish signal necessarily. And so the market has a little bit of work to do as far as rolling over. It's not going to happen very fast. It's not going to be something that's very steady. I don't think we're going to see another crash like we saw a liquidity crisis / pandemic. We saw a crash of 33% in excuse me, in 1 month and a half. But I do think that we are coming into the price area where I would not be surprised to see this market pull back. But it also doesn't mean that I think I would leverage my entire account into puts, betting that the market is going to just roll over. So with that said, you have a combination of both things going on. A brief answer for you: yes, I think it's probable. No, it hasn't happened yet. Will we be available when it does happen? Yes, we will be available. The first level that I think is a little bit interesting, we've tagged this level 1, 2, 3 times on the daily chart. The level is 388.30. You could even come down here to 387.82. It's more of a price zone, and this is the area that I'm talking about. And because this is creating a bull flag pattern, normally what you see is you see higher prices. And if, for me personally, the depth of the actual flag itself, I would be probably eyeing somewhere in the range of $400 per share. But here's the thing, is that because it is a bull flag scenario, we have to keep in mind, be mindful of, if we do break to the downside, we would most likely be targeting that same range closer to this. I'll give you an actual price, closer to 381 price target to the downside. I, for one, me personally, I would not be heavily betting one way or the other. I want to see a little bit more evidence, something that's a little bit more clear. You do have a lot of support in here. So if you did take out these lows, would you then want to short the market? I personally would not want to short it down at those prices, because you're becoming into some sort of logical area of support. That's the SPY. Let's go ahead and go over to the Qs and see what we can see on that chart. There's something that's on the Qs that I saw a little bit different over here. You do have what's called a monthly reversal candle, and I'm going to go ahead and box that candle, and it's this one right here, is the month of January. So it is very interesting to me to see where the Qs end up. Are they going to close above the high of that monthly reversal candle, or are they going to close back underneath of it? Now, if they close underneath that high, it doesn't necessarily mean the market's going to roll over, but if we do close back above that high, that would mean that this reversal candle right here for the month of January is no longer relevant, and we'd be looking at higher prices. If we close below it, it is possible I'm not sure if I would say it was probable, but it's possible to come back here and back test 300. At some point, I think the market will want to do that. So if you are looking to go long on the names you love, the FANG stocks, maybe check back in with the Qs and see where it is at, where it closes the month. And of course, you have some time between now and the end of the month. But looking at the weekly chart, I really don't see anything wrong with the Qs. We're pretty extended here as far as to the upside goes, but you know, would I be a buyer at these prices? I'm not sure if I would be a buyer, not heavily invested, but I also wouldn't short the market at these levels just yet. I'd want to see a break of 3.4 for starters, a break of 314.09, maybe a break of that, a rally, short the rally, and then let's see if we can get a downtrend. Otherwise, there's no reason to sell the market just yet. Let's go over to the IWM. Again, we're going to start off with the weekly time frame. We're looking at the weekly to give a bigger picture of what is going on. We saw a breakout in the IWM around 169.62. The former highs that were back here in 2019 are going into 20, and then you had the all-time highs in prior years. So as far as the IWM goes, this is the one that we see the most quote unquote extended up above. It's getting pretty far away from its area of value, which is probably around 168 through, well, now it would be probably up here at 183. So I would not be surprised to see a pullback in the IWM, but I also would not bet that it's going to just roll over. This is a pretty incredible rally. Do I want to short that? I'm not necessarily sure if I would. Let's go to the monthly time frame and see if we can see anything else. So on the monthly time frame, we don't have any evidence yet that this market is rolling over, that it's going to give us a reversal candle. You could try to step in here at any point and try to short it in hopes of a reversal candle, but then again, that would be trying to pick a top, and I'm sure traders were doing that this whole time. So something to be mindful of. Let's go to the SMH. Do I see any signs of slowing down as far as the monthly time frame? We are getting pretty parabolic. One thing I can say is when we do pull back, especially in the SMH, it is not going to be pretty. In fact, I don't think it's going to look very good. It can be concerning, but that hasn't happened yet. So another possibility is we could always trade sideways in a sideways range instead of in time as far as in price goes. But right now, we don't have any evidence yet on the monthly. Let's go to the weekly. Again, no, weekly is bullish above all three moving averages. Perpetual uptrend. This is a beast of a market. Would I want to invest my 2/3 or my entire account in the tech sector or the semiconductor sector? I don't know. I mean, the thing is that I know that when the turn does come, it's going to be pretty violent, and we could see prices all the way down to 188.87. But that also doesn't mean if you're long, there's no reason to sell just yet. Let's go to the XLF, which is the financials. And with financials, same thing on the weekly time frame. We are in a breakout, all-time highs. We could do something in here where we could possibly try to draw in a trend line. The problem with this is that we could just keep moving our trend lines around to fit our needs. And so if it rallied a little bit more, maybe I would find another trend line that would fit my need. And that's sometimes why trend lines are really hard to use in markets, especially when they're going parabolic like this. We saw a lot of weakness over time in the financials. So it is nice to see that there's a little bit of momentum in this area, in this department. We'll see how the banks close out the month. You know, I would not be surprised to see a pullback, but I also would not necessarily go short just yet. I think that's it for the different areas of the market I wanted to take a look at. Let's go ahead and look at the VIX, and then we'll look at the dollar. So as far as the VIX goes, we do see a little bit of an uptick in here. We see a nice little basing pattern, and I'll go ahead and highlight the basing pattern. It's in this area right here. So you could definitely accumulate the VIX hoping for or looking for a breakout with a stop firmly under $20. If you are wrong, you are pretty close to risk if you wanted to start accumulating the VIX. I think it is an okay thing to accumulate. Just be very cautious and mindful of where it is that you know that you would be out of the trade. And let's look at the dollar. For the dollar, I'm going to go ahead and use UUP as a proxy. And so the dollar, we saw bottoming down here around $24, and we have seen this somewhat of a consolidation pattern. It's technically in no man's land. I don't know if I would go long or go short. I would be looking for a breakout. And in fact, if you got a breakout above this consolidation, you probably want to see a breakout above this area right here, which is around 24.83. And I could go way out and I could look at a weekly time frame. It really doesn't look that bad. Something I see a little bit interesting is This pattern we thought was consolidation for lower prices. This one we thought was consolidation for lower prices. This one is kind of in the air. What is this one going to represent? Are we going to see it like we saw it the last 2 times, where we see a bullish move out of this pattern? And if we do see a bullish move out of that pattern, how will that look in the stock market? What will that do to equities? I think if we saw this break out to the upside, you might see a lot more, I wouldn't use the word selling off in stocks, but I think we could say you might see a little bit more profit taking. Maybe it would devalue the broad market. We'll see what that does. To me, I don't want to try to pick this as far as do I think it's going to be bullish or bearish. We could just as easily see this thing break down to the downside and lower prices ahead. And if we do, I would expect some support around here, the previous consolidation around 23.20. And then below that, 21.39. That is a pretty hefty move if you do get below 23.23. So that's something to keep an eye on. Let's look at TLT, the bonds. And we do like to, personally, I like to use TLT to trade as far as the proxy if you are into this kind of thing. Looking at the daily chart, there are a lot of times that I thought that this thing was going to bottom out and then take off. I've taken a lot of long trades in here, hoping and looking and wishing like an amateur, hoping that this is going to rally away from here. And the funny thing is it just goes right through my support area. So I'm a little bit reluctant and hesitant to going long on TLT. As far as the bigger picture perspective goes, I do think that this is consolidation pattern. I don't think this is we could say this is a topping pattern for this current year or for the past, let's say, year and a half, as far as the run up that quite the run up it did have this last couple of years. But do I think this is an overall topping pattern? And I don't personally believe that. I believe that eventually we will see TLT bottom out here at some price in the future. I don't know if it's going to be near future, maybe 140 area. Maybe we will come all the way down here, back down to 130 area. Time will tell. Right now, this is looking extremely ugly. This is looking like a broken market. I don't expect, and I understand this is the bond market, but we could still do technical analysis on it. I don't expect that we're going to just trade right through 139.03. It's possible to go right through this 200 period moving average and this is of course the weekly moving average. It's possible intra week to trade below that and then by the end of the week get back up above it. So maybe we will see a SPY move to 400, and while the SPY moves to 400, maybe we'll see TLT pull all the way down here to 140, and at that point we can discern whether it's a good place to lean into. What I would like to see is in TLT to go long is I would like to see a reversal candle, at least for starters on the daily chart, and we still have not had that just yet. So we'll see what happens this next couple weeks. That's the TLT. Okay, now let's get into PLTR, and then I want to look at CATB and DVAX. PLTR was posted in the alert section of the Discord. I believe it was yesterday. We took naked calls and we have 100% runner on that. I started closing out the position, I think 50%, 80%, 106%, somewhere in there. This is the thing, is what I was targeting was $30, and so we've pretty much come close to that $30 price level. And what I was eyeing taking this trade is I saw this consolidation period in here, and then of course you see the breakout out of that consolidation. If you extend this down a little bit further, to me this looks more like a back test. Now I don't really know a lot about this company, to be honest. I don't I don't want to offend anybody, but I don't really care what the company does. I am a technical analysis trader, and so for me, I just am eyeballing this back test. Now I'm sure there's some sort of good news or something that came out, but coincidentally enough, it came down to our price level. We went long and had a nice little trade out of it. So I am out of this trade. You can stay in the trade as far as I'm concerned. Looking at this chart, I probably got out a little bit earlier than I should have. So far, it looks like bullish consolidation on the intraday time frame, which this is a 1 hour chart. This is the basing pattern. We created this bull flag, and so sometimes you'll see another up move. And if I did see an up move, I'd be targeting this area right up here, and I'll give you a price target of around 33.60. And we could take it one day at a time. If you're in this trade and you did not get out of it, maybe just raise your stop loss to this gap. The gap is around 2674, 2675 area. You could just raise your stop loss up to that. If we fall back down into the gap, I would imagine traders would want to fill the gap all the way back down to 2512. And if that happened and we took these lows out of 2380, that would be more bearish than it would be bullish. Right now, this is a bullish setup, so feel free to look for higher low opportunities to go long. Let's look at CATB. CATB, we got involved in this one. Was this today? This was today. What I see in this chart, I see a nice uptrend. Now, sometimes with these uptrends, when it rides an uptrend like this, sometimes it does like to fall through like you saw right here. In this scenario, what this did is it whipped out traders and then it gapped higher in the overnight session into the next day, probably on some sort of crazy good news. And right now what we see is profit taking. You know, nothing bearish necessarily about this profit taking. We'll see what happens. Right now, if you go zoom in a little bit more, what you can kind of see developing is a bull flag, just like we saw in the last chart. You see a basing pattern, you see a breakout, and now you see this bullish consolidation. What I would like to see coming into the next couple days, I would like to raise my stop loss up to $3. This pivot right here, 340. If we get below 340, maybe that's too tight of a stop. Maybe the stop should be maybe 338. If we get below this area, the price is probably going to want to come back and back test this 320 area. So you could go ahead and take the stop loss and then pick the shares back up at 320 with the stop loss below 308, which is this area back here. Let's see what happens coming into Monday. The last one is DVAX. I'm not sure what we got out of this. Maybe it was 40% options on this one as well. I can't remember. I'd have to look at the alert. But right now it's still a bullish consolidation. You see this bull flag, right? Bullish consolidation. This is the hourly chart. You see it building up momentum. And so we had a breakout out of this close band of support and resistance. We saw a breakout and now it's coming back down in here to back test. It is above all three hourly moving averages. I would like to see higher prices. If you wanted to be more conservative in this trade, you could wait for a breakout above $11. But if you wanted to accumulate it, I think you can definitely accumulate between 930 and 960 and accumulate those shares with the stop loss below 908. Let's go to the daily chart on this one. Daily chart looks good. It's having a little bit of trouble getting through this prior area of resistance, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight that area right back here. And so what we see is we definitely see a large bull flag, and I'm not sure, it might need a little bit more time. Maybe you'll see some more candles in here before it will want to break out. It is possible if it doesn't break out and it wants to do the bull flag thing and then it wants to break down below, I would be targeting this area down here. It's a pretty wide range. I'd be targeting 708 if we fail the bull flag. That wraps it up for this video. By the way, we will not be on live stream this Sunday at 5 p.m. Normally we do it every Sunday. This Sunday we will be unavailable. Feel free to leave a comment under the video and hit the like button if you've gained value out of this. Thank you guys.